The night was dark and silent as a group of masked figures made their way through the narrow alleyways of the city. They moved with purpose, their footsteps muffled by the sound of the distant traffic. Their target was a high security bank rumored to hold a fortune in untraceable cash. As they approached the building, the leader of the group, a man known only as the Shadow, signaled for the others to halt. All right, listen up, he whispered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the city. We've got one shot at this. We go in, get the money, and get out. No mistakes. The group nodded in silent agreement, their eyes glinting with determination. With practiced precision, they disabled the security cameras and breached the bank's defenses, slipping inside like ghosts in the night. The vault was their target, and they wasted no time in cracking the combination and emptying it of its contents. As they made their escape, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance, signaling that their time was running out. The city was in chaos as the police raced to apprehend the elusive criminals. The Shadow and his crew split up, each member disappearing into the labyrinth of alleyways and back streets. The authorities were relentless in their pursuit, but the Shadow was always one step ahead. He had planned the heist meticulously, leaving no trace of evidence behind. As the days turned into weeks, the police grew frustrated with their lack of progress. The shadows seemed to have vanished into thin air, leaving them with nothing but dead ends and false leads. But Detective Sarah Reynolds refused to give up. She had been assigned to the case and she was determined to bring the shadow to justice. Detective Reynolds pored over the evidence, searching for any clue that could lead her to the shadow. She studied the security footage, analyzed witness statements, and even went undercover to gather information from the criminal underworld. But the shadow remained elusive, taunting her with his ability to evade capture. Meanwhile, the shadow continued to operate in the shadows, planning his next heist with meticulous precision. He knew that the police were closing in on him, but he was confident in his ability to outsmart them. However, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching him, someone who refused to give up the chase. After months of tireless investigation, Detective Reynolds finally caught a break. A tip from an informant led her to a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of the city where the Shadow was rumored to be planning his next heist. She called for backup and prepared to confront the notorious criminal once and for all. As the police surrounded the warehouse, the Shadow realized that his luck had run out. He had been outmaneuvered and there was no escape this time. With a sense of resignation, he emerged from the shadows, his face finally revealed to the world. Detective Reynolds looked into his eyes and saw the weariness of a man who had lived his life on the edge of darkness. "You are under arrest," she said, her voice firm but not unkind. The shadow nodded, knowing that his time as a master thief had come to an end. As he was led away in handcuffs, he couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The chase was over, and he was ready to face the consequences of his actions. The trial of the Shadow made headlines across the city as the public clamored to learn more about the enigmatic criminal who had eluded capture for so long. In the end, he was sentenced to a lengthy prison term, but his legacy lived on in the annals of criminal history. Detective Reynolds had finally brought him to justice, but she couldn't help but feel a sense of respect for the man who had kept her on her toes for so long. As for the Shadow, he spent his days in prison reflecting on his past and the choices that had led him down a path of crime. He knew that he had been driven by a desire for wealth and power, but now he understood that true freedom came from living an honest life. And as he looked out at the world from behind bars, he vowed to leave his shadowy past behind and embrace a new future, one filled with hope and redemption. Now, as it's the end of the story, we will learn some vocabulary words. Muffled, adjective, of a sound not loud because of being obstructed in some way, muted. Untraceable, adjective, unable to be found, discovered, or traced. Precision, noun, the quality, condition, or fact of being exact and accurate. Breach, verb, past tense, breached, past participle, breached. Make a gap in and break through a wall, barrier, or defense. Vault, Noun. A roof in the form of an arch or a series of arches typical of churches and other large formal buildings. Wail. Verb. Make a prolonged high pitched sound. Chaos. Noun. Complete disorder and confusion. Apprehend. Verb. Arrest someone for a crime. Elusive. Adjective. Difficult to find, catch, or achieve. Labyrinth. Noun. A complicated, irregular network of passages or paths in which it is difficult to find one's way, a maze. Relentless. Adjective. Unceasingly intense. Pursuit. Noun. An activity of a specified kind, especially a recreational or sporting one. Heist. Noun. A robbery. Meticulous. Adjective. Showing great attention to detail, very careful and precise. Analyze. Verb. Past tense. Analyzed. Past participle. Analyzed. Examine something methodically and in detail, typically in order to explain and interpret it. Taunting. Adjective. Intended to provoke someone in an insulting or contemptuous manner. Warehouse. Noun. A large building where raw materials or manufactured goods may be stored prior to their distribution for sale. Outskirts. Noun. The outer parts of a town or city. Notorious. Adjective. Famous or well known, typically for some bad quality or deed. Outmaneuver. Past tense outmaneuvered, past participle outmaneuvered. Evade. An opponent by moving faster or with greater agility. Weariness. Noun. Extreme tiredness, fatigue. Clamor. Verb. Past tense clamored, past participle clamored. Of a group of people shout loudly and insistently. Legacy. Noun. The long lasting impact of particular events, actions, etc. that took place in the past or of a person's life.